Typically, we are dying while we're still alive by losing a job, by losing a partner, by losing a loved one, by losing, collectively, we are losing our safety and security or way of beingness. And it means to die while you're still alive means you can do it metaphorically as well. I release my old habits. I release my old self into this newest, greatest version of myself.
Where do you think we're going in that stage of evolution?
The love revolution is just that. It is going to the corazon. It's going to the heart. It is completely throwing out an old fear-based, you're better, you're worse, scarcity way of consciousness, way of beingness, and saying that doesn't work for us anymore. We are going to lead and step forward in a completely different way. And it is a revolution out of love, meaning we step forward for something, toward something, into the light.
Michael Sandler, welcome on Just Tap In, brother. What are you most excited about right now, globally and in your life?
Ooh, now there's a great question. Globally, I'm excited for what's coming after this time period. This is a very special, sacred time period, yet it, for many, is a really challenging time period. And so I almost want to say all great things must come to an end to allow in something even greater. And that even greater is coming right now. And so I'm very excited for that. The way that that vehicle operates, honestly, less excited about. However, it is this time of crazy, beautiful energy. Hard to say when we look at what's going on around us, at least coming from social media and the news, but it is crazy, beautiful, sacred, special, sweet, uplifting, embracing, powerful energy at this time. And if we can plug into that at an even higher level, we not only make it through this time with greater grace and ease, it prepares us for, I keep using that word better, but an even better version of ourselves. That's what I'm most excited about. Globally, I have a vision. I have a vision of the walls coming down, the separation between countries, the separation, let's not even use the word separation, the illusion of separation between peoples, the illusion of separation between colors, between sexualities, between anything, of it all coming down. And the old guard way of being of follow me, I am your leader and I know best. Those days are behind us. It's a we know best. And I'm very, very excited for that. On an individual level, we were talking briefly off air. It's a powerful time of pivoting for us. And my wife and I will call her baby. She's now 3. I think we just passed babyhood. But our 3-year-old, my wife and myself, we just landed in Vermont, where we're going to be spending about 6 months just south of the Canadian border here, just north of Burlington. And every time we move, and we move quite often, not only is there an uncomfortable shakeup, sort of like what's going on in the world right now, but there is a newness of being where you come into new patterns, new ways of being, new habits. You have to throw out the old. Things don't fit so well. Your clothes don't fit so well. Your old routines don't fit so well, and you reinvent yourself. And I know for ourselves at this time, this is a crazy, powerful time of reinvention. So both collectively or globally, but also individually for the Sandler family, we're in reinvention mode. In fact, this beautiful backdrop that you see, which has me fairly uglily lit, that's not a word, but we're going with it anyway. This is my first daytime recording here at our new home, where I'm going, wow, where can I get to make some changes? But I wanted to honor you and honor this opportunity to speak with you and to speak with everybody. And hopefully the nature, if anybody can see it, I don't know how burned out it is, speaks for itself in the energy.
Mm. And the lighting within you is doing just fine. So we don't need the external lighting. So we're good.
Thank you.
You've been sharing these messages from Archangel Michael, ironic because your name is also Michael. And in one of the latest messages that came through, Archangel Michael was saying that humanity is going through this phase from going from a caterpillar to a butterfly.
Yes.
And I'm really curious to know what you're sensing into in terms of where are we in that metamorphosis currently. Right now, we're speaking midway through 2025. Where do you think we're going in that stage of evolution?
The answer that comes to me is self-digestion. It's the caterpillar, quite literally, and I'm not a biologist. I get to study them more, but it releases digestive enzymes that literally break down the butterfly before, I'm guessing, the DNA stays intact, the messenger RNA stays intact. It's reassembled in a new way. If the butterfly, or a caterpillar at that point, was to try to be rescued, it would die. If it stops midway through, it would die. If it simply took a screenshot and looked back at itself, it would go, oh my God, is this ugly? And it's growing its wings. We get to give that caterpillar time. We get to give it that sacred space it needs to be birthed anew. A caterpillar is literally being reborn. It isn't suddenly a caterpillar with wings. You can look at it with a microscope, with a telescope, with a magnifying glass all day long. You will not find caterpillar. That's where we're at as well. And so to me, the greatest thing is if we can to embrace it. But the most challenging thing would be to judge it, because the thinking mind, the caterpillar, if it went into its thinking mind, what's left of it, because it's digesting itself, would certainly be singing, it's a 70s song by Le Chic called To Freak. Freak out. The caterpillar would have no way of being able to assemble what's going on and know what that next step is going to look like. And I believe if we look at our external reality, we have no basis to be able to do that as well. On the inside, sort of like you're having us ground before this beautiful show, on the inside, we may know. Or if we don't know, if we step away from the juice, if you shut off, forgive me, your YouTube, your social media, or you can stick with Emilio show, you can stick with my show. But if you shut down all of this bombardment of old school energy that's hitting you, you start to get a better sense. It's just very difficult to grasp or grok in the fear-based mind, which is where the caterpillar would be right now in this moment as well.
And also, Archangel Michael was bringing through something called the love revolution.
Yes.
So what have you synthesized about what that means for us? We normally wouldn't put revolution and love in the same sentence. So how do those two go together into what we're seeing now in the collective?
Forgive me, I don't know that much about Colombia. But what I do know is, at least based on the movies, of awful way to judge anything, it was a rough place, not too distant future. And now, from everything I understand, it is amazing. It is incredible, and probably still very much a work in progress. The love revolution is just that. It is going to the corazon. It's going to the heart. It is completely throwing out an old fear-based, you're better, you're worse, scarcity way of consciousness, way of beingness, and saying that doesn't work for us anymore. We are going to lead and step forward in a completely different way. And it is a revolution out of love, meaning we step forward for something, toward something, into the light, against no thing, against nothing. It is the ultimate revolution. Every revolution of the past was a fighting for something. We are not fighting. We are embracing. We are bringing in. We are bringing together. And that is what is a revolution, but a complete and total upheaval and change. Doesn't need to be violent, doesn't need to be against anything. A complete and total upheaval and change. What is more of a complete and total upheaval and change than saying, I only have one piece of bread Let me split that in half with you. That is a complete and total. It is no longer in that scarcity consciousness. It is no longer again about I have to fight, drive, or push against you. But let me welcome you in as my brother, as my sister, as my family, as myself, as the higher version of myself, because we have been doing battle. If there's been a battle that's been waged on this planet for eons, it's against ourselves. And a complete and total revolution is to embrace ourselves just as we are, love ourselves up, and then love our neighbor as truly ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And in that journey, it's not difficult to fall into those low moments in life where, maybe we can even label it as a depression going downwards. You had one of those moments in your life of these depressions, but there were some words that you heard from the late Wayne Dyer that I would love to get to know a little bit more about what you heard there that helped you get out of that depression into an ascension.
The most powerful thing that I heard from him, which actually made things on the surface worse, won't go caterpillarhood, I will paraphrase the words, and good research on your part, which is, if we are all of God, and God makes no mistakes, however we define God, then you can't be a mistake. Then I can't be a mistake. And up until that point, I was like, am I on track? Am I off track? Have I screwed things up? Have I messed things up? Am I going the right way? Blah, 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 blah. The thinking mind's completely gone awry. And I come from a family with two parents who have that wound, with their parents have those wounds, with their parents have those wounds, and on it goes. And so it was a perfect opportunity for me to do a party, a pity party, or to use the language that has come out of my mother, particularly recently. She's recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And what is beautiful and horrific in that is that any of the wounds that haven't been addressed come back out to play. Any of the coping mechanisms that you used from the head to get through this life, once the head is starting to, we'll call it glitchy, and we're being driven back to the heart, they come out to play. And so one of her lines that has come out recently, and I love you, Mom, if you do watch this, I love you, I love you, I love you, is, I don't deserve to live. And that is like the stupidest line. I'm not picking on Mom, but it's ingrained by society. If I do, then I am. If I don't, then I'm not. If I succeed, if I'm at the top of my game, if I'm at least striving, working, and grinding myself to the bone to reach that, then I'm worthwhile. And if I don't, then I'm not. And I don't deserve to be here. If ever there was a BS comment, I don't know of a better, stronger one than that. So that's where I was when I heard those words. In fact, I think it only been a few weeks before that I melted down. I had so many blood sugar challenges earlier in my life. And I had a relationship that was challenged, and I'm driving down the road. My blood sugar is low. I've got my girlfriend on the phone, and I'm falling apart. And I remember taking, this is real kicking it old school, taking my flip phone, nice little Motorola, come in Kirk. And,
I had one of those, and I know I'm the last generation that got those.
Yes, and you get it. And I flipped it the other way. I killed my phone, I murdered my phone as I was driving, and then I tried to roll my car. No preemptive trying to kill myself, but I tried to roll my car. I was so upset with myself. Thank you, BMW gods, for the anti-lock brakes and traction control. But that was the low point that I was going through. Now, fast forward, I've heard Dr. Wayne Dyer, who's actually doing an NPR special selling the whole enchilada. And he tells everybody that you can't be a mistake. So I go home from my then girlfriend's house, and I go into my bathroom, and I look at myself in the mirror. If God didn't make mistakes, I couldn't be a mistake. And whatever you label God, I've never thought of God as a bearded white guy in the sky, but whatever you label universe, source, energy, love, light. So I looked in the mirror and I said, I love myself. Do you know what happened next, Emilio? Right out of Star Wars. I became Darth Vader on the spot. I swung around, grabbed the shower curtain rod, smashed that mirror into as many pieces as I could, smashed everything else, all the little furniture and knickknacks that I had assembled in this beautiful little house of mine. Thankfully, didn't destroy the washer and dryer. Thank you. Did manage, I think, probably destroyed the floor and was completely and totally beside myself and crumpled down crying. I waited a few weeks. I said, you can do this. And I tried it again. My sister and my dad had just visited. And I had this beautiful little new microwave that my dad had given me as a gift. My old one had died. And it had a button on it that said, it was like Smart Cook. You press the button, it figures out what you're cooking and it or heating up, and it cooks it for you. It's the coolest little microwave. I told it to myself again. I picked up that microwave, slammed it into the floor, destroyed it because I loved it so much. Who knows, love a microwave. And destroyed the floor as well. I can't wish that on anyone. But it shocked me to the core, and it helped me on the rebuild as I had to look at the home, I had to look at the mirror, I had to look at the floor, I had to look at myself, and I had to say, what is going on here? And what can I learn from this? And I think it was one of the first times, there have been so many poignant moments, but one of the first times in my life that I had to both choose a radical forgiveness for myself and to learn to not do that dance. Years later, as I finished master's grad school, I had a dear friend who took her life. And she had an amazing job, amazing career, amazing boyfriend, amazing dog, amazing health, amazing everything. And she put her affairs in order and checked out. Why? Because she told herself she was broken and that she was unfixable. And she was so completely and totally convinced of that, that the only answer was to check out. And what I learned from those two experiences, many years apart, is that there is absolutely no good that can come from picking on yourself. There is no good that can come from saying, oh no, I'm separate. Oh no, I'm different, meaning there's something wrong with me. Oh no, I'm all alone. And so Wayne Dyer, in so many ways, because after that, it was probably 6-8 months after that, was when I'd been reading another book by Wayne Dyer, and I had a dream in the middle of the night. Well, I guess that's when you have most of your dreams. I'd been a top-level U.S. cyclist, a whole journey there, and I was top 10 in the nation for sprints and some other events. I was getting ready for the national championships. It's like March, and I had a dream and woke up from this dream, and I said, I'm going to sell all of my racing gear and ride across the country for people with learning disabilities and attention deficit disorder. I've been working on a book on that. I'm going to ride across the country and sell all my racing gear. And I did just that. And it was Wayne Dyer's words. So we bounced down with Wayne Dyer's original words. And we came back with the words, if you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? And for everybody watching this doesn't mean you have to climb a mountain, ride your bike across the country, or do anything. You can't fail. Life is not a pass or a fail. Life is a pass or pass. In fact, you get an A grade just for coming here. Just for coming here. What you do now is gravy. And I was learning that all of that hurting myself, maybe hurting myself in ways, thinking I was going to drive and push myself to be a better person, was counterproductive, doesn't even begin to describe it. So Wayne helped me a lot with those words. I'll let you in on one more Wayneism. Not really so much of a statement, although, oh, forgive me, I usually have these off when I'm on. I had a near-death experience. I won't go into that in this moment. We can dive there if you want to at another point. But I was reading his book, audiobook at that point, Inspiration. And he says everything in life happens for a reason. Moments later, I'm almost dead. And I think to myself, yeah, everything does happen for a reason. But then years later, I was invited on there was a 10 publisher book auction, or bidding war, there's the term, for a book or two of mine, Barefoot Walking and Barefoot Running. And Dr. Wayne Dyer got involved through Hay House and really wanted me to hop on the Hay House wagon and take me on I think it's called the I Can Do It tour. And I wanted nothing more than that. And yet a whole series of events culminating with a Hay House meeting that just went very, very badly. The Hay House team just wasn't ready for the meeting. Maybe they had a bad day, a bad week, who knows? But they're like, wait, who are you? What are we talking about? And I had another publisher that was so ready and offering much, much more, but seemed to actually be able to take care of me, that I went with the other publisher, even though it meant I didn't get to work with Wayne Dyer. You know what happened? Everything blew up. Not in a good way, but in a great way in the long term. Everything blew up. The book, which had been a #1 indie bestseller for 9 months in a row, they had me pull it and re-release it. It tanked. The next book that they were under contract for, they buried. Everything went down. And I could say to myself, you did it again. You screwed up. You blew it. You had a chance to be with Wayne Dyer. What in the world were you thinking? But that doesn't work. Instead, you dust yourself off. You go, everything seems broken. Everything seems wrong. How does it get any better than this? And we found ourselves, my wife and I found ourselves catapulted out of our dream home in Maui to her childhood bedroom in New Jersey, 2 twin mattresses on the floor. And I say, what am I going to do? Well, I love to interview people. We just made a program on mindful running, and I had gone nuts. It was supposed to be 2 or 3 promotional videos. I ended up doing 62 or 63 interviews. And Jessica, who had to edit them, was going, God, dear God,
please
stop. Out of it came the show. The show came out of turning Wayne Dyer down and feeling everything was wrong, everything was broken. Why did I do this? And so he left me, in a sense, with the greatest gift. This show wouldn't have existed if I hadn't hit that one more low by going, I cannot believe I turned. And I would do anything to turn back the clock and meet with him, because I couldn't after that. It was actually, that wall went up because I said no. I can hear him now, though. I do a lot of channeling, so I can hear him now. And he's like, we can talk. Channel's open. But it was there have been so many great gifts in my life, but that low was truly one of the greatest gifts in my life.
Yeah. So in a way, he did teach you that everything happens for a reason. And going back to that first Wayneism, when you were looking in the mirror and when you said, I love you, and you destroyed everything, I'm seeing that there's a relationship between breaking through to a deeper level of self-love and the energy of destruction. It doesn't necessarily have to be physical. It could also be a metaphorical destruction. But what do you see right now, in the greater collective for people's lives that are seeing a destruction? How can they understand that that's bringing them into a deeper level of love and maybe something even greater than they could have ever imagined?
Do not trust the snapshot. You can't trust any photo that you see online these days. Don't trust the photo that you see of yourself as well. It ain't real. None of it is real. Time, we have this illusion. First off, we have an illusion of time, but we have this real illusion or delusion that time is not on our side. I think it's always the Beatles that I'm hearing. Time is on our side. It really is. If we look at a snapshot in the moment, everything looks chaotic, different, difficult. I'll look back at this interview and I'll say, this was so amazing to speak with Emilio. And I'll be going, oh my God, the lighting. But don't judge the snapshot. The visual image isn't telling you the energy. It isn't telling you what I call an attunement, which is what this beautiful meeting of the minds or the hearts is. It doesn't share any of that. It doesn't share our trajectory. It doesn't, there's no compass by me pointing, you're going this way right now. It's a dull, not even three-dimensional, two-dimensional, one-dimensional, false image of who and what you are and where you're going. So if we judge, and like I mentioned before, near-death experience, if we judge when we're completely broken, which is really cracking through, cracking wide open, as you say, we go, holy crap, what is wrong with this picture? The answer is in the question. The picture is wrong. You're not wrong. You're perfect. And the shattering, as difficult as it is, will help you get wherever it is your higher self wants you to go. I teach a lot of law of attraction, but the term is cringy or cringeworthy to me because it implies that we know where we want to go. Energetically, we do. We are crystal clear about that. You know if you want to be happy, if you want to be sad, if you want to be lonely, if you want to be surrounded by goodness, and we know this. Specifics, none of our damn business. Follow the pull strings on our heart. What's tugging on our heart, but we don't get bogged down in the minutia and the details. Energetically, even in the most difficult moments, you have it going on. If you have the ability to take one more breath, you have it going on. And if you choose it, this will serve you so incredibly well. I could give a list, Emilio. I'll give just a few things off of that list. I've got twin titanium femurs, twin titanium hips. I've got a titanium wrist. 3 years ago, got hit by a car and had a mild brain injury. I have been wiped out financially. I've been bankrupt. I've been ate dog food for a summer where I kibble. It was cheap. So I shared it with my dogs. I went 2 years in Colorado without being able to pay the gas bill. So no true heat in the house. I've had the pink notes on the door that you're going to be evicted and on it goes. Cancel, clear, release to all of it. I am not my story. But what a beautiful backstory it is. What a beautiful, there's a movie about an inflatable marshmallow robot that goes around saving people called Big Hero 6. I don't know if you've seen Big Hero 6 or not.
Yeah.
All of these friends get together and life isn't going too good for them. One of them's lost a brother. They've lost part of their school. I don't think if they knew that their professor had gone nuts, but all things are not going so well for them. And what they said is, this is our backstory. We are stepping forward into the superhero version of ourselves. Guess what? People love a good superhero movie right now. Why? Because we are all that geek, that nerd, that person who doesn't know how to operate in this world and is heart open, way too sensitive, and feels like just looking at a needle, you could prick blood. And suddenly you're going to step into the superhero version of yourself. That superhero version of yourself is real. That superhero version of yourself is waiting for you. It doesn't mean, again, that you have to fly over mountains or do all these tremendous things out here. Maybe you will. But it means that the dark night of the soul, which is what you're going through, is only and always by definition, by design, and by your higher self, here to serve you in a wildly positive way.
And your superhero name would probably be the Titanium Man, as you mentioned. And, there's a lot of talk in this community about the future human and where we're evolving toward. And I love that you brought in the aspects of the superhero. And I'm the biggest Marvel fan that there is.
There you go.
I'll repeat all the shows and all the series and all the movies, but we can get very caught up in knowing or trying to understand what the future human will look like physically, whatever it is. But I'd love to break down for you, what is the essence of the future human feel like for you as we're already stepping into it as we speak? Hello, beautiful family. Quick one today. I just wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you that have subscribed to this channel. Your subscription means more than you know. Even though it's free, what you're doing is you're empowering a whole channel to be able to do this every single day and continue showing up in the way that we can with all of our resources on hand. Thank you for contributing to the growth of this channel, for sharing it with the people that you love, for creating a conscious movement of individuals that are seeking the sovereignty and the divinity of their soul. This is why we're here. And if you haven't already and you're enjoying this content, I invite you now to look below on that little button that says subscribe and welcome you properly to this community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being who you are and being pure love and radiating that with everyone that you see. Back to the episode.
Floating, flying, all-knowing, all connecting, all connected, all willing, all creative, all challenging, all growing, all love, all potential, all ascending, all stepping forward. I did not say easy. I did not say always graceful, but always spiraling upwards. And I believe we will not shed this mortal coil. We've got a long time here. This is actually where the party is at. But we will be superhuman. And that means all of those adjectives I just described to you, that is who and what we are becoming. In essence, who and what we are, and at the same time, becoming because we do not realize it yet. I do not realize that, like Jesus, and I do not try to even put myself on that same level, but I do not realize that I can walk on water. He did, and he did. When I realize that, I'm going to be able to walk on water too. Maybe you realize that and already can. I know there are people who can already levitate and do all sorts of amazing things. It is coming into that realization. That's this next evolution or revolution of humanity, is realizing who and what we already are and then embodying that.
Also, in some of the recent transmissions from Archangel Michael, he's been talking a lot about and hinting about that there will be riots, there will be shortages, there will be unrest. How do we hold predictions such as those without stepping to the field of fear and, at the same time holding our ground and our power?
This is a beautiful question. And it's a beautiful question because it's a question that I go back and forward in my channeling with Archangel Michael, and we often have disagreements about, and he will say, just share it as I give it to you. Because I look at the universe energy, and no matter how you channel, no matter who you channel, I don't think we're getting the full story. And I don't think we're getting that by design. So I look at universe energy as what I call trickster or coyote energy. And I was graced to have a coyote for over 17 years, and she was a trickster up till her last days. Coyote energy is, you will not get the whole answer, you will get what you need right now. If Archangel Michael was to give us the total picture of everything, probably be scared out of her mind short term, and then long term, it'd be so beautiful. If I'm going to hit there, why do I need to do anything? If we're given such a prediction that says, here's everything coming your way, well, grab your bonbon, sit on the couch, and get busy doing nothing. I'm always hesitant about having a prediction show, and I'm sure you heard me say I don't like doing this because I don't want to disempower people. And you disempower people if they have either too much information or they focus on the gloom and doom. That's where I have argued with Archangel Michael. Why are you telling me this if it's going to create fear in people? And Archangel Michael would say very, very clearly, oh, but you didn't hear the message, dear one. It doesn't have to instill fear in people. This can be the message that you get to rise above. You can see this message as a two-way street. Right now, we're looking at riots and discomfort in the streets. But what if you take that energy of, oh my gosh, golly, it's my technical way of putting it, something like riots could happen, and you say, I'm going to do everything in my internal and external power to bring us to a place of love, to focus on that love, to bring in the love, to be the love, to meditate on the love right now so that that doesn't happen, so something even better happens. Now you're using that possibility as fuel. That's the trickster energy. It doesn't have to come to that. And he's very, very clear about that. Humanity has made a choice to make it. Humanity has made a choice to ascend. And humanity at the moment is choosing the harder road to get there. Do you wish to keep taking the harder road? That's the riots, that's the fighting, that's the disagreement. Or do you wish for another road? And so he continues in that conversation to say, yes, you can have door A, that's not so fun. But there's also door B, which is a lot more enjoyable, that you can avail yourself of if, going back to door A, you take action on it now. Archangel Michael pulls no strings. Archangel Michael pulls no punches, has a sword, cuts through falsehood, cuts through lies, or what's called the obscuration, and demands action now. Mm-hmm. That's where we're at in humanity and in 2025, where the energies are getting strong, where we are in an amplifier of consciousness. That if you focus on the riots or things going bad or red versus blue or black versus Mike, or whatever, you're going to get that, and you're going to get it in spades. If you take note, hey, this is a possibility that people are focusing on. I can see it in social media, in the news, wherever. Well, I ain't going there. I'll take note. I must admit, I haven't done so today. Yesterday, I did my full 3-second look at the news. I click on my news source of choice, and I go 1, 2, 3, off, out. Well, now I know enough to talk about it in an education fashion because nobody knows what's going on. Anything big that has taken place if somebody asks me. And I ain't going to bathe in that energy. You can't make me. I'm going to instead pull out my sword and go, that ain't happening. And I'm going to go this way to a higher, brighter state of consciousness. And that's where I'm going to play.
What's the greatest obscuration that you would like to illuminate from a higher level of consciousness for all of us here?
That anyone or everyone, that you, whoever is watching this, and I love you, that you are less than, that you are broken, that something's wrong with you, that you're not all powerful, that you're not an almighty. I could say the almighty, but part of the everything, that you are not the creator and capable of anything. And I'm not talking the raw, capable of starting a business, having more income, any of those things. That's great. Use that for good. What I'm talking about is you are a divine, energetic being. And for that matter, you are, going back to Marvel Comics, you are immortal at that. You're a divine, energetic being and an immortal one, having a divine, energetic experience. Michael, this is anything but a divine experience. I've been there. I've been broken. I've almost died. I get it. I've had many a loved one pass away. I get it. It's still the most incredible divine experience. You're the most incredible individual. And when you get that, you start living. It's why I have a school of mystics. You start living at a higher plane. What does that mean? It means you see what's going on. You participate in what's going on. But what's going on does not own you. Only you at your highest level owns you. Only you at your highest level brings you a more expansive existence. It is this, if I can help people understand, shine bright, that they are the light. It changes everything. Your show is illuminating the darkness. My show, I'm not sure the date yours started, mine started on a 9/11, specifically to bring light to the darkness. I wasn't messing around. That's what we're here to do. That's who we are. I have a Hebrew name. And that Hebrew name, I probably used it on air once or twice, is Meir. And Meir means the bringer of the light. We are all the bringers of the light. We are all the light. The obscuration that gets to be cleared is that you are anything less than that. And even watching these shows, your ego can sneak in the back door. Social programming can sneak in the back door and say, well, I'm not as good as this. I'm not as great as that. I'm not doing this. I haven't done that. I need to take care of this. I, Captain. It's bogus. You're perfect. You're perfect. You can get even better, but you are absolutely perfect. And I love you. And I hope you love you. And the universe loves you. And your higher self loves you. You are perfect. You are perfect. You are perfect. When we play at that level of existence, everything changes. The caterpillar becomes the butterfly, goes to flying all around this world and more. Just as you are, and not because you had to do a darn thing, because the caterpillar is not in the cocoon working its ass off to build its wings.
You mentioned you have this school dedicated to guiding people into becoming their own mystics.
Yes.
And, you know, one of the phases I think in life that we're lacking, I would say, even in the younger generations, is the rites of passage, the initiations. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if we go back to ancient times, you know, the Egyptians, all the priests, the priestesses, they had their own rituals and initiations to become their own mystics. So what do you feel is for people that moment in their life or that phase to get across to become a mystic and to become their own mystics and help other people become that as well?
It's interesting. I think it's happening. I think people are popping left and right. Bringing it back to Wayne Dyer, because I can hear him in my head today. We've tuned him in. He had an expression decades ago that I took action on in a positive way. It was die while you're still alive. And that means to let go of the old. Now, typically we are dying while we're still alive by losing a job, by losing a partner, by losing a loved one, by losing, collectively, we are losing our safety and security or way of beingness. This is all dying while we're still alive. And so many people are popping, have literal near-death experiences, awakening experiences, what I call the drunk tree experience. You hit a tree, so to speak, and everything in your world changes. It's happening to all of us. And it means to die while you're still alive means you can do it metaphorically as well. You can do it in a moment. You can light candles. You can grab drums. You can have drumsticks. Have fun with this. And you can say, boom, 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 I let go of the old. With this full moon that just passed. With this full moon, which is with the flower moon right now, the moon of rebirth, of new beginnings, I release my old way of being. It's all symbolism. So have fun with it. I release my old way of being. I release my old habits. I release my old self into this newest, greatest version of myself. Now, the brief story of Wayne Dyer, I was in the fashion industry briefly. And I had just gone to a Vegas fashion show. And it actually drove me nuts. I couldn't take it. And so I'm out of the fashion show. I'm on the streets of Vegas, or on the strip. And I'm burning the rubber off of my Rockport Soul dress shoes as I head over to the Circus Casino, which had a giant 12 or 13-story crane in it with a bungee jump. And I told myself, you must die while you're still alive. You're going, and I was terrified of heights. I'm not anymore. I told myself I was going to do the bungee jump. And so I paid my money, went up in my suit, went up to the top, got the harness put on me. You can see through, it's an old crane, so you could see through the mesh floor. You could see all the way to the bottom. And the crane is rocking in the wind. And I go, oh, crap. I can do this. Die while you're still alive. And it was my turn. And they took me to the edge. I can do this. But there was a plank. And you had to walk to the end of the plank holding onto nothing before jumping. I couldn't do it. And I stepped back from it. And I had an instructor, very wise instructor who may not have meant it that way at the moment. And he was this young guy. You probably see him at the bars at night, kind of rowdy. And he goes, You intellectuals are all alike. You think too much. Look at me. I'm stupid and I can jump. But he had something to it, which is to get out of the mind. A few weeks later, I did do a jump. I did experience that, and then I had to experience it a second time. I jumped, got down to the bottom, paid my money, and went back up to jump again, different location, because I wanted to fully embody the experience, fully be present with the experience on the other side of the fear. What does this actually feel like? What does this look like? That's what this bungee jump is called life right now. We symbolically pay our money, we take our jump, it's an inner jump now. We be present with it, and we know just because we symbolically are letting go of the old, shedding that cocoon, you could say, you will dive into the new you.
When you said it's an inner jump, I saw the visual of we're bungee jumping from our brain into our heart.
Yes.
So to reiterate that teaching that you're laying out here is, what is the role of the heart in mystical development for people?
Everything. This takes command. The mind takes command from the heart, not the other way around. We never call it, you can go to heart math, you can never call it mind coherence. It is heart coherence. That is both a frequency driver, if you think of a speaker, and having a magnet on the back of the speaker that drives the frequency or drives the pulse, that's coming from the heart. And it is also the ultimate receiver of information. We don't do enough conscious receiving today. It doesn't have to all be old school meditation. It can be play in the woods. It can be laying in bed. It can be certainly skydiving, driving. It can be any of these things. But we don't do enough time without all of the extra input to allow ourselves to take information in from the heart. The love revolution is one where we are going to lead from the heart. The mind is still important. Please don't try to cross the road without the mind, because you'll go, I'm all energy, I'm all love. Instead, use the mind. Look both ways. In fact, if you want to design a safer way to get across the road, if you want to design a safer bridge, if you want to design a whole new way or construct of vehicle so we're not using fuel with stop and go in the most inefficient way possible, use the mind for that. Being led by the heart. There is nothing we do that we can't do better from the heart at this point. A best example of this is, if anyone's listening, if you've ever been married, if you've ever had a long-term relationship, you've never, ever, my guess is, and okay, there can still be some cultures that have arranged marriages, but if you have chosen your partner, it was never done from the head. It was never done from a list. Well, she's got this quality, but doesn't have that. He's got that quality. I'm not so sure about this other. Let me add up the numbers here. My God, no. Why do we live the rest of our lives that way? You're spending 24 hours a day, not just with your partner, but with you. Why are you leading that from the head instead of the heart?
Wow. Do you ever feel that podcasting, interviewing, weaving together ideas has become a form of mysticism for you?
Well, it does, as I know it does for you. It is, you discussed it before, Aaron, so I don't want to steal your words. You discussed it with me. It is a transmission of energy. Everything that we do, in fact, you can go to the car sales floor, or you can go to buyawidget.com or anywhere. You're never buying anything. What you're getting is energy. It is only about the energy. What you are doing, Emilio, with your show, and you do it beautifully, and I've caught many of your shows, and what I'm doing with our show is transmitting energy and transmuting energy, for that matter, helping shift people's vibration. We are the tuning forks. Everyone is a tuning fork. We just get to do it for a living. and be the best tuning fork we can be. And what happens is, an attunement at the end of the day means, and we've probably all heard this story of, you have a cuckoo clock in a room full of cuckoo clocks, or a shop full of cuckoo clocks. And the beginning, they're all, when they're wound in the morning, all of the clocks are out of sync. By the end of the day, they're all in sync together. What you're doing, Emilio, what I'm doing is, we're the biggest tuning forks in the room, in a sense, in our genre, in helping people to be the best tuning fork they can be. If you attune someone because they listen to you, their frequency changes. They become the better version of themselves. They don't actually have to do anything, but their energy shifts. And then somebody else is in their field. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to say anything, but then their energy shifts. And then their energy shifts. So you and I both don't know, or you may get a lot of letters. I get a lot of letters, emails, and things. I still have no clue, if I'm honest, how many lives I've changed. I have no idea how I've helped the shift. And even when I read a letter, I don't fully know how to embody that, if I'm honest. I go to a place of gratitude. I'm sure you've gotten the letters. I was going to take my life, or an email, I was going to take my life before I caught your show. I'm sure. It's still very hard to embody, but what you did is you cracked somebody wide open through your frequency. That is the level of the mystic. That is you and I playing at the mystic. And that is the individual who is watching or listening being cracked open and playing, beginning to play at that level of the mystic as well.
Yeah. And that's also why I was saying, like, we become conduits and vessels of that energy to run through the conversation, to run through people. And, it's also hard for me to read those messages of, I was about to take my life, and, even those, I'm like, wow. And I have to really be aware that the ego is there, and the ego tries to come in and be like, yeah, you did that, you did this, you did the other. And I always have to come back and say, it was through me. It was always through me. And go ahead.
I'll pause you. I'm going to throw on my teacher hat for a second. It's a co-creation. It came through you, and you stepped forward. I get to do the same with saying the same to myself as well. It is never this is kind of the concept of, you can call it free will versus divine will. There's this idea that, well, if the universe knows best, I'm just going to throw myself into the water, into the stream, and let it carry me. Well, it's going to carry you. Who the hell knows where it's going to carry you? You get to co-create. Where do you want your ship to go? Feel into your heart, corazon. Where do you want it to take you? Now we've got a co-creative dance. You can say you were the vessel. You got one hell of a setup there. You got one hell of a mic there. You've got one hell of a you that is choosing to be there and do this, which means it is you and it's not, but it is you. You saved someone's life by doing your work and being the conduit. Now, the ego would love to go, oh, you're so good, you're so great. I almost would rather that than us think that we are less than. But at the end of the day, the more that you go down this road, the more you're on to the ego. And it can't really get, if you let down your guard, I guess it could, but it can't really get that far. Because you and I are both made of the same cloth, which is pretty humble about this. I mean, I know I'm really good at what I do. I know you're really good at what you do. But I'm not going around going, look at me, I'm special. We're all special. And it's a co-creative dance. I cannot take, Emilio, the specialness away from you. And I know you're not, but I wouldn't let that happen for anything.
Thank you for saying that, brother. Appreciate it. And, another thing, and it's amazing that we're having this conversation because, as people that do this similar work in bringing and transmuting so much energy, especially high vibrational energy from the guests that we have and the energy that we're working with from other realms and such, I would love to ask you how you transmute that energy. I've heard you speak upon a practice that you call circle breathing or running energy. I guess this could also be really helpful for people training in the mystical arts, because the mystic is the one that is the alchemist, essentially, and can transmute energy. So I would love to bring it into a practical sphere to help people even get to know what are some of those practices that you've embodied to help you navigate that energy?
I'm breathing into this one for a moment. Two things that come to mind. And the first seems particularly important this time. So we're talking about circle breathing. And a circle breath to me means a continuous inhale going to an exhalation. We can draw the energy up from our tailbone, up through our spine, up to the top of our head, and drive it back down around and see this flow. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, bring it down. But to me, what's more important than just that is at this time we slow down our breath. We bring it up, in, and I always go in through the nose, down to the belly, and out. Out through the nose. In through the nose, down to the belly, and out through the nose. In and out. In and out. The more we start to slow down the breath, doesn't mean that you have to stop thinking quickly. It doesn't mean that you're not sharp. But the more that you are grounded and rooted and can take that energy and focus it wherever you desire. Picture yourself, well, here's a good example. Biathlon, I think it's called. You are a cross-country skier and a sharpshooter. Quite an interesting combination. Who knows where they came up with that one? And you ski along as fast as you can till you get to the next target. And now you need to shoot that target and shoot it well before you're allowed to continue your skiing. You're going for the Olympic gold. If you stay in that place of going really fast and breathing really fast and trying to get to that you're going to be here a while. But if we slow down the breath, draw the energy up, send it back down, picturing grounding into the earth, picturing slowing down, your heart rate slows down, you bungee jump or go back into your heart. And now, although it's shooting, which is interesting, you are ready and in that silent space for whatever comes next. You can transmute that energy. The second thing is there is a prayer that I like to share. I do a lot of clearings. I do occasional clearings on the show. I do lots of clearings with the School of Mystics. There is a prayer that I'd like to share, and a full shout out and props to Dr. Bradley Nelson and Emotion Code, also for an Aboriginal technique called holographic kinetics, also to shamans for soul retrieval work. But first and foremost, because he has the tool with the magnet, to Dr. Bradley Nelson. There is a clearing statement I love to use when the energies come up, when the energies are overwhelming, when you've been slapped in the face with energy. There's something you can use to clear that energy. And I tend to use the back of my cell phone, which is magnetized. This is my lucky phone. It went through the drink 3 years ago. We had, 2 years ago. My daughter had heart surgery at the age of 1. And actually, she had heart surgery at birth and then again at the age of 1. She's doing amazing. And we went near the hospital, but on the shore, to give her a couple weeks to recover before we could travel. And in one of the early days there, I lost my phone in the ocean and near shore, and spent days digging for it in the water, very cold Atlantic water at that point, couldn't find it. On the third day, it magically found its way. I scooped under a boat that was parked, if you can call it that, moored. And I found my phone. So this is my lucky phone. It still works. I cannot believe it still works.
It went through some things.
Oh my God.
Went through a hero's journey on its own.
It did. And so I use this for clearing. So let's say, all right, real world, you've driven down the road. You're on your way home and somebody gifts you with the monodigital response. And they throw a lot of negative energy at you because they're having a rough day. Not because they're bad, because they're having a rough day, and we can send them love. But you're really shaken up at home. You don't know what to do. You really feel beside yourself. And I would certainly go to the breath. I would get my feet on the earth if I could, or get my feet at least on the floor and feel it beneath me. And then I would do this clearing statement. Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Uriel, higher self, higher team, and all angels, guides, and light workers, here for my highest good and the highest good of all. Please help remove the wounds, traumas, blocks, walls, and specifically energy that this person gifted me, attack that this person gifted me, trauma that this person gifted me, whatever this person gifted me. Please help remove these wounds, traumas, blocks, walls, and this energy now and forever. Thank you. Put a hand on your heart, take your magnet, take your phone, take your hand, take your crystals, run it over the top of your head a handful of times. You might find yourself yawning, which is energy coming out, or belching, burping, chills, feverish, anything, nothing. But what you are doing is you are releasing that energy from you. This is also, you can do that, 8 or 10 times, a great practice to do at the end of the day. You've finished a day, you've taken on everyone else's energy. Clear, it's called energetic hygiene. Clear before you go to bed. Why take anyone else's anything with you as you're going into the other world, the other realm, which is more real than real? Why not leave that baggage behind?
That's a powerful exercise, brother. Thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to bring up a special year for you, which I believe was 2022, when the universe asked you to focus more on your voice instead of others. What has that taught you about shining your own light on a deeper level?
It's a brilliant question. And it is something I am still, life is always a whip, a work in progress. It's what they called it in business school, a whip. Life is always a work in progress. So since 2022, I stopped the show for a while, then I started it back up, then I went no guest, then I went back guest, then I went live guest, then I went no. It is a finding your way. Right now, what it is feeling is it's my time to be doing live events in person all around the globe. It is my time to take this and do this, rather than being on the screen, as you and I are both really good at. But now bringing that, because there's a resonant frequency when you're live in a room. We know the difference. Live music versus the most high fidelity version you can hear. There's still an energetic shift to it. And I know I'm being called to that. And I have allowed it, that and writing, to a whole new level. I have allowed it to progress slowly, at times frustratingly slowly. But 2022 was also the year when my baby was born. It was the year where family took a front row and center seat to a whole new level. Full disclosure, the first 6 months, I probably wasn't that great. I believe I'm super dad now, and a work in progress, but it took a while to get there, to fully embody that. And so I get to shift and be more in my own voice. And at the same time, I had to allow it to progress slowly. And now there is this energy behind me, kind of a tsunami, or it almost feels like a Niagara Falls level of water that's pushing me forward into the unknown, but for those elements to come about. Have I stumbled? Yes. Has it always been the direction I wanted to be? No. Has it been learning, some pleasant, some not pleasant? Yes. And that's okay. One of the challenges of becoming really good at something is that who you are? Or is it merely a vehicle? And now we're going to speak with Michael Sandler, podcaster. And actually, I look in the screen, it says Mick Dundee today.
I had to look it up before I let you in the studio. I'm like, who is that, bro? And the crocodile hunter.
Yeah, I have an alter ego, Mick Sandler, who's probably not going to come up today, but apparently Mick Dundee came out on screen there. That's funny. That's really funny that it'll be broadcast that way. But but that's it. I'm not taking myself seriously. We get into a place where I'm a really good podcaster. Now we're going to speak to Michael Sandler podcaster. I'm not Michael Sandler podcaster. I'm Michael Sandler. Today I'm playing Mick Dundee. We're wearing whatever hat we are wearing today. But we are not what we do. That is merely a vehicle, a transmission. And to get out of that, particularly if you're successful, can be really challenging. It may take rocking a boat. It may take the Kyle Cease method. I don't know if you've had him on the show, where he was #1 comedian on Netflix and left it all behind. It may take stepping back fully to embrace something new. I have no plans on stepping back entirely from Inspire Nation. I have every plan of continuing to morph it and be willing, cancel, clear, release, to blow stuff up to find that new direction. And that is hard to do when you get successful, because now you're counting on it. Your family's counting on it. Everybody's counting on it. Are you really willing to do that, to find a new version of yourself? Yes. Absolutely yes. Emilio has an incredible voice inside of him, incredible message inside of him. And Emilio wouldn't be asking this question if Emilio didn't want to share this more himself. And what does that mean? It means there's no clear-cut, easy path, but if you keep it at the forefront, or that front burner, and you keep mentioning it, and you keep feeling it, and you keep exploring it. I know, like, we just landed here a couple of days ago. I'm going to be going out today or tomorrow and getting a nice giant piece of poster board, and I'm going to be visioning this thing out. What do I want this to look like? I've talked about how many talks I want, where I want these. I'm going to draw and write everything down, all messy, ugly. And it helps bring it about, or something better. Meaning, I know that I get to speak my message now, more important than anything. And my message, like Emilio's message, is a co-creation, but I still take ownership of it. And I get to do that at an even higher level now. And I don't pretend to know what that'll look like, but I will just keep stepping forward. And that's what I started to do in 22. And again, it's been quite an interesting journey, not just for me, but for all of us over the last 3 years. But it's burning brighter than ever. And thank you for asking that question. And I'm happy to help, assist, and guide as we go down this road together.
Of course, of course. And, it's beautiful because that is the creative process. And as soon as we birth something into the world, we help raise it in the beginning, and then it wants to become its own thing. And, we co-create with it, but we also have to listen very closely to where it wants to be taken. For example, for me now, it's, morphing into more community-based activities and things like that. I've just realized the importance of community for the new earth. Like, the conversations are important, but now, I had a guest yesterday on the show, Franco Romero, and he told me before we started recording, so this was off air, he said, are you just going to stay put and report about the shift, or are you going to create the new story? And I've been really reflecting into that. And, one thing I've gathered about you through this conversation and through learning about you is you have a knack or a gift of bringing through internal technologies into the mainstream. And I'm going to highlight the first one being barefoot running. That's an inner technology. Yeah. The podcast in its own right is an inner technology. All of these different things that you've been creating are inner technologies for us to explore and go deeper into ourselves. So I'm curious about if you've brought through or have thought about what are the inner technologies that will be needed the most in the next few years as we're going through all of this collapse, this chaos, whatever we want to call it, this shift, that would really help us go deeper into ourselves and know ourselves in that way. So if there's any inner technologies that you think are coming from the future into the now, what would they be?
I think there are 3 coming to me. And I will say, last summer, I was looking into setting up a center, a community center, as we were looking at purchasing a home in Quebec. And it didn't come through, but that is in our future too. And I feel community is hugely important right now, hugely so. The inner technologies that are coming through to me right now, everything is a technology by definition, or we get to attune to a higher frequency right now. Whether that's through our meditative practice or some other practice, but we get to understand that playing that low-level song doesn't work anymore. The Debbie Downer song doesn't work. We are a symphony that's stuck in a cacophony. And we get to rise to that higher level of sound, that higher level of beingness. It was supposed to start this week. I think it's going to start next week. I'm taking singing lessons. And I'm very excited about it. And I have no plans of any outcome. I can see something potentially come, but I have no plans on anything other than I want to learn how to tune to an even, not that this frequency isn't the everything, but I want to use this to tune to it even more and use my vocal cords to tune to it even more. So we get to work on our attunement, whatever that may be for us. And then we get to attune with others. The frequency of the me in the cave doesn't work anymore. It's powerful, it's palpable, it helps. But we're not meant to be in a cave. We can go old school Lynn McTaggart, power of 8 at this point. You get a group of people together focusing on one thing. Great things happen. And so I have my own inner technology of tuning. You have your inner technology of tuning. But when we attune together, that's where the real magic takes place. And so that's part of the me being out there. That's part of the we being out there. So this can be a summer of riots. It can also be a summer of the most amazing progressive marches, of coming together as one. That is a very powerful technology. And then there is the inner sight. We can't ignore that. That is what says, I'm not going to just fall into the water without knowing where I want to go, but I am going to envision it. I am going to feel into it. And then I am going to broadcast it with everything I've got. This inner vision is a two-way road. It comes in, it goes out. What do you wish to see? What do you broadcast to the world to bring about for everyone? If we play with those skills, we become the creator of not only our future, but everyone's future, despite any appearances to the contrary, because the appearances to the contrary don't hold a candle's flame to the sun that you are and the amount that you can illuminate the world. When you're in attunement, you're in alignment, you're working with others, and you have this inner vision, which, if you go, I can't see anything, it is a feeling state. You know when you feel hungry, you are going to get food. What happened? You took your inner power and you manifested food, period. Done deal. No, I didn't. Well, then you wouldn't still be here because you didn't eat, unless you're a long-term breatharian. Topic for another day. You manifest it through the feeling state. We're going to play with that, and that's who and what we're going to be in the technology, to me, that's most important moving forward.
Beautiful. And another one I forgot to mention that you also helped open the door in is automatic writing. And I don't know if you've shared this publicly before, but I'd love to open the space for it. And that is, what is the most, I guess, profound automatic writing experience that has left you in complete awe?
I'm going to go with one old one and one new one. In 2022, when we had our baby daughter, but fast forward or rewind a few months before that, and we had rushed to Children's Hospital of Philly with some substantial challenges. She was a twin. And we ended up losing, in quotes, losing her twin sister. She's now my main guide on the other side. Her name is Miraku, which means miracle. Although HanaBear, our daughter, talks with her every day and plays with her every night. She calls her Miku. So you can ask her where
Really?
Miku is, and she'll look up and she'll say, "Here she is." So she plays with
Wow.
her every day. Um, I knew I didn't want to know, but I knew in advance what was happening through my automatic writing. And when we were at the hospital and we were told we can do surgery in a few days, which may save HanaBear's life, we can't save both of your babies. Um, and this meant our other baby was going to go away. We are able to let the doctors leave the room, talk amongst ourselves, and know this was the right decision, and know we could let go in order to save HanaBear. And that came out of automatic writing, fully and completely. So that was why we have our daughter on so many levels. More recently, I taught, I think it was around the time of COVID, I taught as part of our boot camps. I was channeling all of the great masters, like, gosh, I'm going to forget almost everybody's name right now. Emil QA and, oh my gosh, anybody in the New Thought movement. Now my mind has gone completely blank. I would channel one a month.
Napoleon Hill, you've channeled him
Of course,
before.
yes. Yep.
Hmm.
Napoleon Hill, Madame Blavatsky. Um, and then I haven't done much channeling others other than Archangel Michael comes through quite often. Archangel Sandalphon comes through sometimes. Um, but as weird and awkward, particularly for a very confused Jewish boy who ended up in Catholic school, um, last week I was given the opportunity to channel Pope Francis,
Yeah.
and I'm very humble, and that was really um, I did it. And from what I'm told by people, it's his voice, it's his message. That is just dumbfounding to me. And you can say, well, do you want to do that again? Do you want to play in that space? Like, no, it's not me, man. You got the wrong guy. On the other hand, automatic writing is the one that said, or my guides on automatic writing said, you're going to write a book on automatic writing. And I'm like, you got the wrong guy.
Mm.
But that was just dumbfounding to me. That was the words, the message, apparently the similarities to who and what he was and who and what he said, because I didn't follow any of that, really stunned people. There's one woman who, when I channeled it, I was doing it during a live event, she was writing in the YouTube comments, "I'm in the basilica right now, and you've got me in tears. This is so spot on." That's dumbfounding. The tool itself, automatic writing, when you asked inner technology, it didn't strike me as, oh yeah, inner technology. That is to me my go-to tool of all tools. Every single day I go to my automatic writing. I go to my automatic writing before each show. I go to my automatic writing before I teach each night. So if I had a School of Mystics Wednesday night class, if you said, Michael, what are you teaching on tomorrow? I'm going to tell you, Emilio, I have no clue. I really don't. It's scary. It's really scary. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go into my automatic writing, and the full teaching is going to come out before me. Next month, I'm going to do my Archangel Michael, prediction show for the month of June. I have no idea what I'm going to say, and I'm going to go into my writing, and that'll come out. But it guides me every single day. All of the important stuff. It lets me know what's coming. It lets me know what I get to take care of. And most importantly, is going to give me a lesson or teaching for the day as well. And so it's my everything. And so when I used to do coaching, and I do very, very little of that anymore, I would say, I'm not your coach. I'm not going to guide you. What I'm going to do is help open the door for you to hear from your higher self and hear from your team. And I will guide you on that path. And that I would then teach them automatic writing so that they could plug in themselves at the highest level.
I tuned into the Pope Francis teaching, and one of the things that was really interesting that I just wanted to highlight for a moment was he said in that channeling, the church is now about transmitting power, not taking power. So what do you understand about what he's meaning with power, and I guess the church's new role in that.
I think it's facilitating all of us coming together as one, coming together at that highest level where all of our hearts, and we can call it heart coherence, are in sync with one another. Before it was, I believe, I mean, you would just go, and I've been to Rome once, you're just surrounded by all this gold. But the gold came from somewhere. It came from Colombia. It came from South America. It came from the conquistadors. It came from all over the world. It didn't just start in Rome. That was the taking of power and the holding on to power. But now there's this new progressive movement. And I don't pretend to know anything about the inner workings of it, but he was talking about it. This is the time of not just giving the power back, but helping everyone to be that light. I'm seeing an insect's eyes. And I'm seeing the gold going into each individual little pocket of the eyes, and then of it beaming that light out. You're being given back your gold. You're being given back your gold. You're being given back your gold. And then we are illuminating the world together as one. That's what I see the new role of the church, and the new role according to Pope Francis, and its role in, well, the only thing I've heard so far when this new pope was, I don't even know the word for it, forgive me, chosen, brought forth. I'm not sure if indoctrinated, whatever the word for it is. He said, and this is a total butchering paraphrasing, but he said, the days of war are done. Wars get us nowhere. All wars should stop immediately. That to me is the essence of this new version of the church, saying we're done playing the old game. We're putting the power back in you. We are going to find a way to make a complete and total world of peace together as one.
That's a world that I would like to live in, for sure.
And we are getting there. We are getting there, my brother.
Yes. And
we have cocooned up. We're going through the digestion. We're going to come out on the other side.
The new Pope is going to have a conversation with Oprah, and she's going to be like, just give out the gold. You get gold. You get gold. You get gold. You get a car.
I like it.
And you were mentioning HanaBear and, her twin sister, Miraku, how special it is to witness them interacting and her having, I know all children, especially the ones being born right now, have a very clear side to the other veil. Yeah. So I'm curious to know, now you having a baby and you bringing a child into this world, especially after 2012, which shifted a lot of things with the new children, the new Earth children. What insights have you received about what the role of these children will be as leaders in the coming years?
There are teachers, and we talk about that, and every new generation comes up, we talk about that metaphorically. I mean that literally. Our job is to get out of their way and to allow them to do the work that they are here to do. They're here for us to really get to that next level. It doesn't mean we're not transitioning during my time, during your time, but there is a whole new level of clear-sightedness, of clear vision, of being able to see through, of being able to bring their memories forth, to bring in their powers, where they're going to say, guys, that just doesn't work for us anymore. Okay, we're completely and totally done with that. We're going this way. And our job is to let them. So with HanaBear, I get to give her the guardrails. So here's how you participate in our legal society, the way it's structured right now. Let's give you the guardrails so that you don't go off the edge of the cliff, so to speak. Other than that, you go girl. Whatever that means for you. Even that meant you go girl, which turns into go guy or go gay, they. It doesn't matter. Let them be them and do our best to learn from them. We went to Disney. Where was it? not Animal, okay, Magic Kingdom. I think it was 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. We've been celebrating HanaBear's birthday, which she just had. It was a multi-week celebration. So we go to Disney and we go to this thing called Space Rangers. And, it's got Buzz Lightyear and it's got all these other characters. And you're in this little mining car and you have this little laser in the mining car. If you're two people, you have two lasers. And you're not supposed to shoot anyone. But you'll see Buzz Lightyear and then you'll see a target. And you're supposed to shoot the target and you get a bunch of points. And so we're going through this. She's a couple weeks shy of 3 years of age. First time we've been in there. And we get to our first target. And I put my hand through the laser and I start to take aim. And she grabs my hand and she pushes it down and goes, "No, Daddy." Okay, maybe she's a little nervous about the ride. I go to the next thing. And I put my finger there and she goes, "No, Daddy." And she goes, "No shooting. No." Wow. I've never let her see a horror movie. I've never let her see a shooting movie. I've never let her see anything. And here she is taking my hand and saying no. We drove up the road to Vermont a few days ago and we passed this beautiful lush hillside, which now has some very expensive homes on it. And she turns to me and she goes, "That all used to be farms, Daddy." Huh? What? I certainly didn't tell you that. I may have thought that. I didn't tell you that. They come in with understandings. They come in with ways of being. They come in with new rules. And they come in remembering. That's the new gen. And it's powerful. It is, I see she's just come back from the PG right now. She's on the other side of the glass behind me. The PG is the playground. You cannot pull the wool over her eyes at all. But they're cool. The new gen is cool. The question is where the new gen begins. Does the new gen begin with me, considered one of the, I was in an interview with Lee Carroll recently, who wrote the book Indigo Child. And he would say, I was right on the cusp. I was the early adopter, Indigo Child. Is it you? Or is it those who are just being born today? It's all on this continuum of greater understanding, of greater knowledge, of greater playing with frequency. And I'm excited for it.
Me too. And Dolores Cannon, she talks about, the 3 waves of volunteers. And I think there is a 4th wave coming in because, I've seen some of these children and I'm blown away, especially now with the stories you're sharing with HanaBear. And, I can just imagine what she'll amount, when she really just brings through all of that knowledge and wisdom and potential within, we see them as like little babies, but they're ancient, like they're ancient beings. So age is just a 3D thing that we have to get beyond and realize that the wisdom that they hold is far beyond what we can imagine.
She's broken code a few times. I can't remember when the last time it was, but I can remember maybe it was a year or two ago. Maybe she was not even a year. And I was very sick and I was having stomach problems or something. And all of a sudden she looked at me and put her hand on my belly. The look wasn't a baby. The look was an elder. She broke code. She's done it a few times where the facade falls away that I am playing the role of your baby or your toddler or your child, but that's not who and what I am, and you know it. And all of a sudden you look at it and you're like, whoa, wait a second. And then she goes right back into, I'm HanaBear. But that's this gen. They will break code, and when they grow up, they will be, oh my God, so powerful. And our job, get out of their way. Do not teach them anything other than the basics. I mean, sure, we'll teach you reading, writing, all this good stuff, but do not say, this is right, this is wrong, this is what you see, this is what you do not. Let them tell us.
What are those basics that you would teach a young person or a baby just coming into the world, not to indoctrinate, but to really guide? Oh,
man. We had on years ago, first summer of the show, we hadn't even started the show yet. We record Don Miguel Ruiz Jr.
Yeah.
And he said the most, at the time, horrifying statement, but it's turned out to be true. And he said, either you domesticate your children or someone else will. Either you give them the basic programming or somebody else will give them their basic programming. So the basic programming is certainly kindness, although she has a really kind heart, but teaching her even more kindness and patience. And you can see that she's not, she's an infinite divine being stuffed into this tiny little body. It doesn't make any sense to her. Helping her understand both the body's needs and what it's trying to tell her, and how to ground at times when the nervous system is out of control and you don't know how to work a nervous system yet because you never had a nervous system, at least when you're on the other side. How do I work this space suit or this meat suit or this little spaceship I'm flying around in? So you give her that. Certainly, you know, how to cross the road safely. Or she picked up pedal bike without training wheels. She mastered it at 2 years and 11 months. Not that we're counting. And so how can I make
world record?
Yeah, there's probably others who are even earlier, but she's definitely way early. And I'm proud of her. But how to, you know, ride on that right side of the road? How do we keep you safe there? Oh my God, the concept of her in cars. But on a trail, even on a bike path, how do you keep her there safe? How do you build structure for her so she's not, I mean, she'll stay awake until she collapses, but then the next day she'd be a mess. So how do we build those kind of guardrails for them? And of course, every child under the sun would not eat a healthy diet. She just discovered for her birthday cake. She had never had cake before this birthday. Now, of course, that's all she wants is cake. we have to guide
wait until
her.
she discovers bacon or something like that.
She did. That's the thing. So I am, well, until all my brain diet stuff I've been going through this year, I have been vegan, and I still have my vegan tendencies, and we'll get back to I am nearly vegan, shall we say, at this point. A little seafood, but we'll get back to my fully vegan ways if my body and brain allow me. I'm also not a dogma, though. I am not say I am a this is who I am. But how do I guide her on her food choices without giving her my bias? And people can say, oh my God, why would you, if you're vegan, why would you? Ain't my job. First off, I got to defer to my mama bear or her mama bear, but also I can teach her when she's ready, but I cannot make these decisions for her on any of it. Give her a healthy diet, help her to learn and to grow, and then get the hell out of her way.
How do you facilitate her creative expression and things that she wants to create through art or whatever it is in the world?
So I'm looking through the glass and I see a dancing challenge game that came from my sister, teaching her dance moves, and she wants to take dance class. We have probably at least a half a dozen instruments on the other side of the glass. We have watercolor painting and Crayolas and you name it. And we are just giving her, we're lucky, we're fortunate that we have the abundance to do so, to expose her to as many creative methodologies as we can, and as many, both creative, let's say with the pen or with the brush, but also with the body, with the singing, with dance, with any of these things. And of course, as a former pro athlete, I want to give her all of the physical things as well, because we're here to embody. We're here to be incarnate, to see what this meat suit can do. So we're giving her all of these opportunities, and at the same time, we're holding her back in ways that she doesn't even know. Meaning, she is extremely photogenic. She melts everyone's heart. She learned by the age of 1 how to go, oh no, and do all of these things that would just on camera, just cars would like veer off of the road if they saw something. Like it's just. We're not driving her to Hollywood. We're not going to get her auditions or any of this. And I'm sure we could get her in any or anything. I'm biased, but I didn't know it. And yet we want her to discover her, if that was even her path, in her own way at her own time. I have walked in the studio before and found her grabbing the mic, holding onto it and holding a book and talking into the camera. And I said, what are you doing? And she said, it's my cast. This is my cast. I'm doing a pod. This is my show.
Oh,
I'm like, oh
you
my
have a
God.
successor. You have a successor.
But I will not, and she wants, before any live event, she always wants to get on and say hi to everybody. But I will not put that on her. I will not say, even the term successor, whatever. I think she would blow my podcasting so far out of the water with whatever she wants to do. Whatever. So if she says, I want to use it to design gasoline motor engines, I'd be like, oh, okay. I support you. I love you. Whatever it is, I support you and I love you.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, brother. And we end every show with a segment called the final trio, which are some final questions that we like to ask at the end. Before that, of course, where would you send people to connect with you, the teachings you're bringing through, the show, all the other things that you would like to mention for us? Where would you direct people to that?
Thank you. So the first and simplest thing is if you go over to dailywoohoo.com, that's daily, WOOHOO.com. That's my daily newsletter, which is, as we're talking here, an attunement, a shifting of your energy, of your frequency, of your vibration each and every day. They're really fun. You can always, if you don't like it, you can always cancel out. If you love it, you can get even more of them. But that is a great starting place. Also, come on over to our YouTube show. It's youtube.com/Inspire Nation Show. It is a great way to connect, to hear more shows, to hear my channeling shows, my live shows. You can also go to automaticwriting.com if you want to learn automatic writing yourself. I have live classes each and every month, along with recording classes, so you can begin channeling tomorrow. And our School of Mystics, which if you can put in a link down below, we'll put our School of Mystics. In fact, we'll put a code down there so that you can try it for free and see how it feels, see what it does for you, and be sure to stay around for the last Wednesday of each month where we do a clearing, a group intention clearing, which is super crazy powerful. I'm not sure the right words to use for it. I'm not the best at tooting my own horn, but would be really special for you. So those would be the ways. Daily Woohoo is the easiest place to start. YouTube, automatic writing, School of Mystics.
Beautiful. We'll link everything down in the description, the show notes. And for the final trio, it's interesting because the first two questions are personalized to every guest. And then the last one we ask at the very end. So the first one is, if you were to distill all your interviews into one teaching for humanity's awakening, what would that teaching be?
You are love. That's it. End of the day. You're walking, talking love. You're broadcasting love. You're being love. You're sending love. You're participating in love. You're expressing love just by being you. You are love.
You do a great job of embodying that. So thank you. Second question, what do you believe is crazy, we were talking about this earlier. What do you believe is the next great human superpower we are on the verge of unlocking?
The love revolution. Coming from the heart, being in the heart, staying in the heart, transmitting, transmuting from the heart, living from the heart, in a sense, seeing from the heart. That's what's coming next. It's actually already here. That's what we are unveiling now.
El corazón.
See?
This last question, we call it a time capsule question, and it requires us to travel out a little bit out into the future, around 15 to 20 years down the line. You can add up the numbers to know where HanaBear will be at those ages, but I chose out those time frames because I believe that's going to be a time in history when this young generation will be stepping more into leadership positions around the world. And just like any great leader, they had the opportunity to be surrounded by great mentors, great teachings, access to tools, to resources, to wisdom teachings, whatever it is. And you were given the opportunity to leave behind a time capsule that they would open in 15, 20 years down the line. And once they open this time capsule, they will be ready and equipped with whatever you wanted to leave inside of here to help them become the best leaders for the new earth that they could be. And in the side of the time capsule, it's not necessarily something physical. It could be non-physical, an energetic transmission, whatever your imagination can fit into the limitless time capsule. What would you leave behind for the next generation of leaders?
Gosh, there's something. I always get transmissions of images and music and stuff like that, and so I'm stealing this one. I don't even know if it's Disney or Pixar or where. It's Kung Fu Panda, and Kung Fu Panda, there is this scroll that I don't know if it's called a tiger scroll or what is this scroll that everybody wants to get, that the bad guy wants to get. And when they finally get the scroll, and the scroll is going to give them infinite powers, and they look at the scroll, at first there is nothing in the scroll except they see a reflection of themselves. I think one seeing one's true self, who one is, what one's capable of being. Anything that I can put in there that's even just a mirror that lets the HanaBears of the future see themselves. That is everything. Know that you are the answer you've been looking for, that you have it all inside of you, and that you don't need anyone, anything, or anything else around you in order to embody that. Now, I will say, I like your time frame of saying when the new generation comes into leadership of only 15 to 20 years. That means we're going to have a very youthful leadership, that it is not going to be, my God, the leaders now are the oldest, at least here, are the oldest of the old. It ain't going to be that way for that much longer. That is going to radically change.
Yeah, because they're also carrying the codes of what needs to be those new structures with the new coming consciousness that's coming into the planet. And
it's almost forgive me, it's almost like I want to put in there a golden key, like an old home key, this real ornate key, except that the key has their name on it, because they came here with that key, as you're saying. And they came here to unlock the doors. But the key isn't really given to them by somebody else. The key is something they already brought with them.
And adding to the visual, I'm seeing the time capsule. And we haven't done this one in a while, but there's actually a plaque that has your name on it. And then you can inscribe in a question that you would leave behind for these leaders. A self-reflective, contemplative question to leave them with, that they can take in their day and really contemplate what you would like to transmit there.
So there are two, if we can do two questions coming to me. One, who are you? Who are you? And two, am I acting from love? I mean, you could simplify it. What would love do?
Beautiful. Michael Sandler, thank you so much. I just want to briefly acknowledge your heart, your authenticity, the way you've opened up the doors, as I told you before recording, for many of us that are doing this work as a true pioneer into our inner technologies, and helping us remember that we are the mystic. And through your mystical heart and through the truth that you bear, it's been such an honor getting to know you, even before today, throughout these years, as a pillar of light and as a lighthouse for a lot of us. Thank you so much for the work that you do. And I hope to continue collaborating and co-creating with you in this unfolding story for humanity.
I would love that, love that, love that. And you're the new gen. You are that light that is going to carry this torch onward and forward to places I can't even imagine. And I encourage you to stumble. I encourage you to get down in the dirt. I encourage you to get uncomfortable and to get lost. Yes, I'm telling, maybe the first person on the show to tell you to get lost. But I encourage you to do all of that while keeping that and guarding that flame in your heart, that light in your heart that guides you forward, because you cannot get lost. You will not be lost. There's no possibility of it. But you will continuously, this is a snapshot in time today. And this snapshot, I'm now at 10 years, 9 years, 11 months when I started recording. The show was a glimmer in my eye about 10 years ago, pretty much today, approximately, give or take a day. There will be a snapshot of 5 or 10 years from you, or less or more, of you in your current role. And then there will be a new role you embrace, and then a new role you embrace. And just keep enjoying the unfolding in all of its mysteries, its magic, its miseries, and all of it. Because as you keep listening, Emilio, and you keep on co-creating, you will do wondrous good for the world beyond anything you could ever imagine. And my guess is that email that comes in that you save somebody's life, that will be both amazing and fractional compared to the good you will do in the world over time and are doing right now.
Thank you so much, brother. So much love. Until next time.